Okay, get this. Kristen Bell admits sole regret about marrying Dax Shepard when she did.
Wow. Yeah, that headline definitely exploded, didn't it? Just dropped right into the news cycle.
Total clickbait dynamite.
Exactly. Designed to make you think, oh no, trouble in paradise.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
Where we break down all the Hollywood drama, the music industry shakeups, influencer scandals, you name it.
We dive deep into the stories behind those headlines. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jamie.
And today, we are definitely diving behind that Kristen Bell headline. We're not just going to talk about some throwaway line.
No way. We're looking at how a single number, the number 4, became this huge PR moment.
And why this specific couple, Bell and Shepard, almost need this kind of radical honesty for their brand.
Plus, how this whole confession ties back to, well, a pretty rocky start to their relationship. Remember that 4-day breakup? It all connects.
Okay, let's set the scene. This all kicked off on the September 29th, 2025 episode of Dax Shepard's own podcast, Armchair Expert.
Right. Kristen Bell was on with her co-star from Nobody Wants This, Justine Lupe.
And Lupe started talking about dating in her 20s, short-term stuff.
Which was the perfect runway. But what's really interesting is how fast Dax Shepard shifted gears. He went from host to, well, husband, commenting on his wife.
He jumps right in, said Kristen was a little regretful, and then joked she wished she'd been even more sexually active.
It's kind of fascinating, isn't it? He frames her confession before she even fully makes it, sort of sets the stage, controls the narrative.
Totally. Like, don't worry, folks, this is just a fun little anecdote.
And then Kristen says the line, I just wish I butterflied around a little bit more.
Now, Butterflied.
Yeah.
That implies something specific, right? Lighter or more exploratory, maybe. Not like deep dissatisfaction with Dax himself.
Exactly. That's the nuance. But nuance doesn't really sell papers or clicks, does it?
Nope. And that's where the co-host, Monica Padman, comes in. She pushed for a number. Quantification.
And Shepard, again, provides the tool for that. He throws out the scale, and well, it's pretty crude.
Super inflammatory. He defined it as 0 is virgin and 10 is sex worker.
I mean, talk about framing. That scale itself is designed for maximum reaction. It's content gold, in a way.
Makes it instantly digestible, shareable, viral, basically.
So Belle gives her number 4, and then adds she wishes she'd maybe gone for 6.
And boom, that 2-point gap. That's the soundbite. That's the headline. A complex feeling gets boiled down to 4 out of 10 regret.
Looking back at it, you really see it wasn't just an off-the-cuff remark. It feels engineered, like content creation happening live.
Orchestrated within his own studio, yeah. Which kind of leads us to the next piece, right? The whole brand they've built.
Exactly. Why make this confession at all? You have to understand the Armchair Expert ecosystem.
Right, the whole show is built on this idea of
radical candor. Shepard's mission statement is about being endlessly fascinated by the messiness of being human. He finds vulnerability incredibly sexy.
So the podcast itself creates this permission structure, you could call it, a safe space, supposedly, for this kind of extreme honesty.
And it perfectly feeds their brand. They aren't selling Hollywood perfection. They're selling the opposite.
The work in progress. The couple that's relatable because it's hard.
Yeah, and they've laid the groundwork for years. Think about it.
Couples therapy. They talk about it constantly, like getting an oil change for your car, she said.
They even admitted going to therapy separately during the pandemic just to, quote, talk us about each other.
Which is brutally honest, you have to admit.
And they openly say they disagree on almost everything, that they had real growing pains and times of hating each other early on.
Plus, Shepard's sobriety journey is always front and center. It's vulnerability as a core tenet.
But here's the twist, the thing that keeps it from sounding like she actually regrets him.
Right.
Right after the 4 out of 10 stuff.
She hits him with a counterbalance.
Exactly. She says Shepard actually brought out a ton of my sexuality, that she was never this sexual before you.
Which completely reframes it. Suddenly, the marriage isn't the limitation, it's the liberation. It's complex.
Very. So is it just them processing publicly? Or is there a business angle?
Well, the analysis suggests it's both, but the business side is undeniable. This curated imperfection, this radical honesty.
It generates massive relatability. People connect with the struggle.
And that connection, that audience engagement, it fuels everything else. Their production company, their individual projects.
And importantly, their joint company, hello Bello, the baby products line.
So the personal drama, the vulnerability, it's basically their marketing strategy. Keep the cultural conversation going, stay relevant, and that translates to commercial success.
It's pretty sophisticated when you break it down.
Okay, so let's layer in some history now, because that 4, she mentioned. It kind of echoes, doesn't it?
It really does. Think back to how they met, 2007.
And Bell herself said, no sparks whatsoever. Not exactly love at first sight.
And Shepard, he was just out of a 9-year open relationship. He was suspicious of her. He thought her friend group seemed like a cult because they were too happy.
Huh, yeah. Not the most stable foundation for, lifelong monogamy.
Yeah. And things got rocky fast. Only about 3 months in.
He broke up with her.
For 4 days. There's that number again. 4 days. And he told her he was still dating other people.
Ouch. And Bill's admitted she fell for him way before he fell in love with me. So there was an imbalance from the start.
A difference in, romantic agency, maybe, experience level.
Which connects right back to the butterfly comment, potential.
You can read it that way, yeah. Maybe the wish isn't just more dates, but maybe subconsciously a wish to have met him later, or on more equal footing.
Armed with the same kind of worldliness or romantic experience he had back then.
Possibly. Which adds another layer to her saying he brought out her sexuality.
Right. It's a lovely thing to say about your partner, obviously,
But it also suggests her sexual awakening or agency happened because of him within the relationship, rather than something she fully owned and discovered on her own beforehand.
So the regret might be tied to wanting more of that independent discovery phase, owning that part of her life more singularly.
It fits with other things she said, too. Remember that 2017 interview? She said something like, I'm quite positive we are not meant to be monogamous.
Whoa, yeah, I forgot about that one.
So this 4 out of 10 thing isn't totally out of the blue. It seems like part of a bigger, ongoing internal conversation she has about partnership, monogamy, growth.
That she just happens to share with millions of people on a podcast.
Which is their brand, right? Okay, so she shares this complex thought. Then what happens?
It hits the media machine and gets flattened instantly.
Yeah, all that nuance we just talked about, gone, decontextualized.
The 4 out of 10 soundbite becomes the only story. It drives all the traffic.
And the headlines were wild. We saw everything from
sensationalist stuff like huge sexual regret, pure clickbait,
to gossip mags kind of twisting it, making it sound like Shepard was the one revealing her regrets for her.
Shifting the agency again.
Yep. And then the more dramatic takes, implying she was unhappy about marrying him when she did, basically framing it as a marriage in crisis.
But, and this is the interesting part, if you actually click the link...
You found the loop, the clickbait and reassurance loop.
Explain that.
Okay, so the headline grabs you with the drama, right? Marriage trouble. But then inside the article, it almost always pivots.
Pivots back to safety.
Exactly. They'll quote Bell's comments about him bringing out her sexuality, or they'll quote older interviews where they talk about their foundational trust or the hard work they put in.
So the media gets the clicks from the drama.
And the couple gets their brand reinforced as stable, honest, and hardworking despite the provocative headline. Win-win, sort of.
But it definitely divides the public, doesn't it?
Massively. You basically get 2 camps.
Camp number 1, the relatables.
Yeah, the people who love the candor, they see them as brave, as pioneers maybe, making it okay to talk about how marriage is actually hard work. They find it healthy.
Destigmatizing the struggle.
Right. Then there's camp 2.
The cynics, the ones with authenticity fatigue.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, they see it all as a performance, calculated, over-reversed.
Like a shtick they've perfected for profit.
Exactly. They find it kind of cringy, maybe even manipulative. And some critics point to that power imbalance we talked about, her admitting she had to chase him.
And how that context makes the 4 out of 10 comment feel different. Could be less empowered.
It adds a layer of complexity, for sure. Some even label Shepard negatively in those online discussions.
So, okay. We started with his shocking headline, implying regret, maybe failure.
We unpack the context, the history, the brand strategy.
And where do we land? Was this a marital crisis? A PR blunder?
Not at all. I mean, based on our analysis, it seems like the opposite. It was a feature, not a bug.
A successful deployment of vulnerability.
Absolutely. It generated huge buzz, reinforced their specific brand of honesty, got people talking. It worked.
They've basically swapped the old Hollywood ideal of aspirational perfection
for aspirational imperfection. Yeah. And they've market tested it, and it clearly resonates.
So the real story isn't just about Kristen Bell's past what-ifs.
No. The bigger story is how skillfully they, as a unit, manage their narrative, how they turn personal history, even regrets, into fuel for their cultural relevance in their business.
They know exactly how to play the game, how to feed that media machine, but on their terms, narrative masters.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. to chew on.
If this kind of radical, sometimes uncomfortable honesty has become their most valuable asset.
What happens next? How does the pressure to keep delivering that level of vulnerability, maybe even escalate it, shape their relationship and their brand over the next few years? Where's the line?
Something to think about.
Definitely.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.